Canada. And every year at the Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon, we're often there at the expo with Running Room and New Balance at a product booth for race merchandise. And every year, there are always people who come up asking questions about what's the latest from New Balance. And I work with the footwear product side. I'm currently at the Mississauga New Balance Canada office. And as part of the virtual speaker series, I wanted to do a segment on showing what's current in the New Balance footwear lineup and also a few sneak peeks of what's to come in spring of 2021. Because often people are curious about their favorite shoes and what the latest is from the brand. So this is a chance in a virtual capacity to see some of those things live in camera. So first, looking at what's currently in the market in a few different colors. Our most popular premium neutral cushioning shoe is the Fresh Foam 1080. And this shoe is a shoe that took a new compound in 2020 as a Fresh Foam X bottom. Fresh Foam is a full-length foam material. It's very lightweight, it's very flexible, it's very resilient to compression, and also is a full contact outsole. Now the upper is a very stretchy material called Hypoknit. This shoe is ideal for someone looking for maximum cushion, but it's also got some pick up and go. And this kind of shoe is very seamless around the forefoot, has a swoop around the rear foot, so it's soft and protective around the Achilles, and is an 8mm drop shoe. But if someone is looking for maximum cushion and protection for the longer distances, longer runs, more on pavement, the 1080 has been very successful in 2020 as more people have taken up the sport of running and walking when gyms were closed earlier in 2020. Next I wanted to show is the Fresh Foam 880 version 10. This was new in spring of 2020, and it was the first time that the 880 had gone to a Fresh Foam midsole. And kind of like the 1080 I just showed, the Fresh Foam midsole is a one-piece foam, and it is mostly full ground contact in the sole. This is a 10mm drop shoe, and it has a very strong heel counter in the rear foot around the rear part of the shoe. So we do see, if people are wearing orthotics, that they like the anchor of support in the rear foot of the shoe. The upper is also Hypoknit. It doesn't have quite the same amount of stretch as the upper in the very luxurious Fresh Foam 1080, but this shoe will also be soft and seamless around the forefoot and is still breathable. This shoe is actually our most popular neutral cushioning shoe. So if someone has a neutral arch, meaning a fairly rigid foot strike or higher arch, that this is a good go-to shoe for them. And this has been our most successful version of the 880 to date. So moving to Fresh Foam worked, and we'll continue to keep the Fresh Foam material in the 880 as we go forward into 21 and beyond. Now, if a person wants the truly maximum amount of Fresh Foam in a shoe from New Balance, that would be the Fresh Foam More. This is the version 2 of the More. This is a 4mm drop shoe. It's a 32mm heel height as we're getting into the tech, because often those questions come up at the expo hall at Direct Energy Center. And this shoe would compete with other maximalist shoes on the market. So if someone is looking for truly the maximum amount of protection, I've been running in the Fresh Foam More myself, and I quite like it as a person is adding on miles week to week. But this shoe, as you can see, goes quite high, encasing the foot. The foot does sit lower than the line of the midsole, medial line. And the idea with Fresh Foam, as a reminder, is that the 3D printing of the hexagons are built to compress more. So if you see an innie, that hexagon would compress more. If you see an outie, that hexagon would be more structured, using a common analogy. But seamless in the toe box, also quite flexible in the rear foot of the Fresh Foam More. But this shoe, as a true maximalist shoe with a 4mm drop, is our truly highest cushioning running shoe at New Balance. It does have a fairly stiff platform, a stiff rocker sole, and people do quite like that also if they're including an orthotic in the shoe. Now in stability, so a different foot type would be the New Balance Fresh Foam 860. And the 860 is a stability shoe. So if If you have a foot type that is more flexible and pronates, meaning that the foot rolls in when you move to mid stance through your running or walking stride, you will have more support on the inside of the shoe. So this post would be described as a co-molded post as part of the midsole. Where you see this cutout in the medial side, that is a firmer foam. So as your foot rolls in, you feel more support on the inside to help keep the foot linear and at 90 degrees with the ground. Now, a small amount of pronation is natural, and in fact, it's healthy for impact resistance, but the Fresh Foam 860 will have stability on the inside of the shoe. This was the first version to add Fresh Foam. Now, Fresh Foam is just the material on the top line, which you see with the hexagons. The bottom material is called Absorb, so we've maintained a 2-layer midsole with the Fresh Foam 860. The rear foot does have a heel counter, meaning it is a strong TPU plastic that encases the rear foot to give a lot of structure, but the top around the collar is very soft and seamless and flexible. And like we saw with the 1080, gives a lot of comfort around the rear part of the Achilles. So this is the counterpart to the 880. The 860 is stability, and it is a go-to everyday training shoe for someone looking for everyday pronation control. Also, as we're going a little bit lighter in the New Balance lineup, looking at current shoes, is the Fresh Foam Tempo. The Tempo version 1 has taken the place of what was our Zante. So a lot of fans will come up at the expo booth asking for Zantes or Zante Pursuit, but now it's called the Fresh Foam Tempo. The Tempo is a 6mm drop, and it is the Fresh Foam X material, meaning it is still soft, but it is lower to the ground than the other shoes we saw, like the More, the 1080, and the 880. It does have a rear external heel counter, and this shoe is worn as a technical running shoe, and for some as a neutral cushioning lightweight race day shoe. It does not have a carbon fiber plate. It is a uniform Fresh Foam midsole. Now, we also see this shoe being worn in the gym. So if you're looking for a versatile shoe that might be used for some running, some walking, but also perhaps some lateral movement, this rear heel counter is a nice feature that helps with some side-to-side support. But a very versatile shoe is the Fresh Foam Tempo. And just a few more that are a little bit different from the road shoes. That we did want to show the Fresh Foam Kiero. And this shoe was new at the end of last year, right as the year turned over into 2020, as a Fresh Foam X trail shoe. This would have the same midsole material as your 1080s and your 880s. It is an 8mm drop, and it has a Vibram outsole. Vibram, or Vibram, being the best tactile resistant rubber compound that you could have for traction on wet rocks, roots, and trails. You'll see a little bit of an exaggerated feature on the back of the heel. That is intentional, and that is for added surface area as perhaps you're doing a descent on a steep, rugged trail. Also behaves as kind of a mud guard. But in general, the goal of a trail shoe is to have maximum traction and also some added protection, like with a firm toe protect. So that's a firm rubberized material around the top of the toe in case you are bumping your toe on rocks and roots. And also, the Fresh Foam Kiero has shown up as a very stylish fashion shoe, even hitting fashion runways. And because trail and outdoor is on trend, bright, vibrant colors are popular, and while functional, it's also fashionable. Last two to show that we wanted to highlight of current New Balance shoes is the 880 GoreTex. So we do offer this road version in a waterproof edition. It is a knit upper. The call out on the GoreTex is that it is waterproof and breathable. That's the nice feature of the GoreTex membrane. GoreTex now is called an invisible fit membrane, meaning it will fit to size. So in the past, sometimes you had to go up a half size on a GoreTex shoe just so that you could accommodate the liner inside the shoe. But now the thin layer replaces the backer of the upper, and you would wear your normal shoe size. For example, if you're buying it on the Running Room e-commerce site, that you would go to your normal shoe size in the 880 GoreTex as you would in the 880 non-GoreTex. But otherwise, same features, 10mm drop, regular Fresh Foam midsole, and a regular road outsole. This is a road waterproof shoe, and great look this year in fall 20 of the 880 GoreTex. And last trail shoe to show is the Trail Minimus, and we wanted to highlight that we still do make barefoot inspired shoes. This is very flexible, like its original. The Minimus Trail first introduced in 2011, and we've been making it ever since, and it was popular with trail ultra runners and also CrossFit athletes and people in the gym who wanted a barefoot inspired shoe. But Vibram outsole, 4mm drop, very low stack heights, a 9:5 heel toe ratio, and the Trail 10 is still in the New Balance lineup. Two race day shoes we wanted to show. One is the Fuel Cell TC, and you probably have seen this perhaps showing up in media through the front half of 2020, but this was the first New Balance carbon fiber plated shoe to go commercial. And TC standing for Trainer Comp. It's a 10mm drop, does have a full-length carbon fiber plate, so it does give a lot of energy return in the shoe. And it is fuel cell or Aurora foam in the midsole, which coming in at about a 10-ounce weight for a men's 9.5. This combination of Aurora foam and carbon fiber plate made this a shoe that is quite durable amongst the other competitors that are carbon fiber out in the market. It does have good coverage and traction of blown rubber in the outsole, and it fits very much like the 1400. It's built on the same last and is a 30-20mm stack heights. But this was our first carbon fiber shoe, and then later in the year, in 2020, we introduced the Fuel Cell RC Elite, which is the truly World Athletics regulation compliance. And as we go forward, we'll update the RC Elite in July of 2021 with the version 2, where we'll increase the stack heights. But this was a shoe intended to be 3 ounces lighter than the TC, so this being the true racer comp. The outsole is lighter with the Dynaride material, which is very good traction on wet pavement, one of the best traction carbon fiber shoes on the market. And this is also a 1400 fit, a New Balance Japan last, a 30-20 heel toe with a 10mm drop, full-length carbon fiber plate, and truly the reduced upper and the ACL foam or autoclave foam enables this shoe to be that much lighter, and we describe, say, up to 70% energy return with the foam, in addition to energy return provided by the full-length carbon plate. This colorway is the New York City Marathon edition, which is commercial now on newbalance.ca. Just a few sneak peeks for 2021 we wanted to share. The first being the update to the 1080. So this will launch early in 2021. So for those of you that are New Balance fans, these are quite prime sneak peeks that often we're pulling out of the bag at the Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon Expo. But with the version 11 of the 1080, we'll maintain the same bottom unit. So it will be Fresh Foam X, the same amount of premium cushion that you've enjoyed in the version 10, and a slightly revised upper, but still stretchy hypo knit, a little bit reduced flare on the back of the heel. And otherwise, we didn't want to change the 1080 too much because it has been very popular, and it was just nudged along with a few tweaks to the upper, but otherwise continues to be a premium neutral shoe. A sneak peek of the update to the 880, which will launch in March time of 2021. Same Fresh Foam X bottom unit as in the version 10, a slightly reduced heel counter than what you would see in the current edition in market. And prime difference is that the upper is going to an engineered mesh instead of the current knit edition, but still a 10mm drop, still an everyday neutral cushioning shoe. And this is a sneak peek of the 880 version 11. Last few is the Fresh Foam More version 3. So this will update in later spring of 21. And this is a brand new upper and a brand new sole unit. It is a wider shoe. So as we go forward with the More, we're going to widen the platform. And even though this is a neutral cushioning shoe, it is a very stable base of support. And adding true blown rubber on the outsole, which will help with traction and also durability, rather than some of the EVA outsoles that we've had on previous versions of the Fresh Foam More. Otherwise, we've added a heel counter, and it is more rolled mesh around the rear foot. So a lot of comfort features in this maximum cushion shoe as an update in spring 21. And as we no longer produce and sell the 890, the Fuel Cell Rebel has been a shoe that has taken the lightweight neutral energy return space. And this is the sneak peek of the Fuel Cell Rebel version 2. This will launch in April of 2021. And this essentially is like our carbon fiber RC Elite, but without the plate. So it has the same ACL foam or autoclave foam, which is a TPU-based foam, which has a lot of energy return, a lot of compression resistance too. And you would see the sculpted midsole. It is built on the Vazzi last. So for the true fans who remember the Vazzi pace, it has more spring off the toe as it does in this Fuel Cell Rebel version 2, and it is a 6mm drop. You see a very dynamic finish, asymmetrical mesh on the upper, and the goal of this shoe is to look fast, feel fast, and it is truly a unique ride. It's a 7-ounce shoe. It weighs the same as the 1400. That's an example of the men's color. This is an example of the women's citrus and mango color, which will launch next spring in the Fuel Cell Rebel V2. And last one to feature, just to show some sneak peeks for next year, and we thank you for joining us and watching the New Balance shoe update, is the Fresh Foam X Kiero version 6. And this will launch next spring, and this is an upper update. Still has a Vibram outsole for maximum traction and control, uphill, downhill lug treads, an 8mm drop in the soft, resilient Fresh Foam X material. This upper has been updated to reduce a little bit of the weight, especially taking some of the rubber off the back of the rear foot. Some interesting outdoor details like a cork material added to the tongue label. And this shoe is described as 50% or more recycled material. So as New Balance goes forward, we are going to be introducing some new Fresh Foam shoes that tell a truly eco-recycled friendly story as we go into 2021 and 2022. So thanks for the time and watching some of the New Balance shoe updates. I know the fans out there, we're sorry that we can't chat in person about the updates, but we're always available, and from a virtual capacity, you can watch from the comfort of your home. So best wishes with your virtual races over the course of the month of October. And we're so happy to partner with STWM, the Canada Running Series, and Running Room. I'm Dave from New Balance, and thanks for watching.